Hades and Persephone are the most famous rulers of the underworld in Greek mythology. Hades, son of the Titan Kronos and brother to Zeus and Poseidon, belongs to the triad of the most powerful gods, each possessing the might to destroy the world. Persephone, daughter of Zeus and the harvest goddess Demeter, was in fact Hades' niece, making their marriage a union within the divine bloodline. Mortals often imagine Hades as cruel, unfeeling, and terrifying. Yet in truth, he was far more rational and fair-minded than many other gods. His weapons were a helm of invisibility, which allowed him to vanish at will, and a two-pronged spear known as the bident. He also wielded dominion over the earth, capable of causing earthquakes and tremors. During the war to overthrow Kronos, Hades lent his helm to Zeus and fought directly in battle, playing a crucial role in their victory. Later, he allowed Perseus, Hermes, and even Heracles to borrow the helm in their struggles, proof of his generosity rather than selfishness. His wife, Persephone, sat beside him upon the throne of the underworld, judging and punishing the souls of sinners. She was notorious for her jealousy and could be merciless. If Hera was famed as the goddess of jealousy, Persephone rivaled her without question. When Hades fell for the nymph Mintha, Persephone furiously transformed Mintha into a plant. In another tale, she quarreled with the goddess of beauty, Aphrodite, over the handsome youth Adonis. When Adonis chose Aphrodite, Persephone accused her of infidelity with the war god Ares. In a tragic twist, Ares killed Adonis out of jealousy, turning the affair into bitter irony. Despite these storms, the love between Hades and Persephone remained fierce. Legends recount that from the first moment Hades saw her picking flowers, he was entranced. He burst through the earth in his black chariot and seized her, carrying her into the depths. Their turbulent union made them the most powerful couple in the underworld. Hel is the goddess who rules over Helheim in Norse mythology. She is the daughter of Loki, the infamous trickster, and the giantess Angerboda. Her siblings are none other than Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, and Jormungandr, the world serpent, an entire family of terrors. Hel herself bore a frightening form. The upper half of her body was that of a beautiful maiden, while the lower half was decayed like a corpse, terrifying all who beheld her. At first, Odin congratulated Loki on his children, but quickly realized how dangerous they were. He cast them out of the god's realm. Hel was banished to Niflheim, the coldest, most desolate place, surrounded by boiling rivers and monstrous serpents. There she became the ruler of Helheim, the realm of the dead reserved for souls who perished from sickness or old age, the true underworld of Norse lore. Hel dwelled in a vast hall, enclosed by towering walls and a massive gate, guarded by the monstrous hound Garm. She possessed a unique and terrifying power, the ability to resurrect the dead. Not even the gods themselves could return to life without her permission. This power was formidable, for if Hel willed it, she could unleash countless souls back into the world and plunge humanity into chaos. During Ragnarok, she released legions of fallen warriors, sending them forth aboard Naglfar, a ship crafted from the fingernails of the dead, to wage the final war against the gods. Some tales claim that Hel was born inherently malevolent, at times appearing on Earth merely to claim mortal lives for amusement. Ruthless, powerful, and ominous, Hel was the embodiment of an unmatched queen of the underworld in Norse mythology. Osiris was the god of the afterlife in Egyptian mythology. His father was Geb, god of the earth, and his mother Nut, goddess of the sky. His siblings included Set, the god of violence and war, and Nephthys, the protective goddess. Osiris was often depicted like a mummy, with a green beard, wearing a crown, and holding the crook and flail, symbols of supreme authority. Though his image was solemn, he was known as a benevolent and just god. Upon inheriting the throne from his father, Osiris became king of the living world, teaching humanity to cultivate grain, bake bread, brew wine, advance construction techniques, and establish laws, bringing order and prosperity to Egypt. His greatness, however, bred envy. His brother Set, who despised peace and longed for conflict, plotted to overthrow him. During a banquet, Set unveiled a coffin crafted precisely to fit Osiris's body and tricked him into entering it. Once Osiris lay inside, Set slammed the lid shut and cast the coffin into the Nile. The river carried it to Byblos, where it became encased within a palace pillar. Through devotion and perseverance, Osiris' wife, the goddess Isis, recovered his body and performed rites to resurrect him. Yet Set struck again, dismembering Osiris into 14 pieces and scattering them across Egypt. Even so, Isis painstakingly gathered the fragments and revived him once more. However, Osiris' phallus had been lost to the Nile, devoured by a fish, leaving him incomplete. Thus, he could no longer walk among the living, and instead ascended to his eternal role as ruler of the underworld, Aru. King Enma is the lord of the underworld in Chinese mythology. Yet few know that his true origin traces back to Yama, the god of death in ancient India, who first appeared in the Rig Veda. Yama was the son of the sun god Vivasvat and is regarded as the first mortal to die, thereby becoming the first ruler of the spirit world. He was also considered the ancestor of humankind, opening the path for mortals to enter the afterlife. When Buddhism spread into China, the image of Yama transformed into Enma, eventually evolving into the familiar figure of great King Enma. He was depicted as a stern magistrate, wearing an official's cap and robes, presiding over the judgment of souls after death, deciding whether they would descend into hell. However, Enma did not work alone. He shared the duty with the 10 kings of hell. The ancients believed that a soul underwent up to 7 trials to determine its fate. The 10 kings acted like judges, with Enma serving as the chief justice. This heavy responsibility was often likened to a black company, a workplace of unbearable pressure. Some legends even say that as karmic retribution, Enma himself had to endure molten metal being poured into his body every 3 days, an agonizing punishment. In the first trial, a soul was confronted with the mirror of truth, exposing every sin and lie. The second trial relied on a ledger of deeds recorded during life to determine the appropriate hell. By the third trial, Enma himself compelled the soul to confess its crimes, and in the fourth, he rendered a final judgment. The fifth trial offered the soul a chance for redemption and rebirth as a human. The sixth determined whether they missed the chance at reincarnation and fell straight into hell. Finally, in the seventh trial, if the soul still could not escape the cycle, it was cast into the Avici hell, a realm of endless suffering with no release. This was the most terrifying level of hell, a place whose mere mention could chill the spine. In Buddhist teaching, King Enma and the underworld symbolize the law of karma. Sinful souls suffer torment not merely as punishment, but as a means of awakening to prepare for virtue in the next life. Thus, though stern and fearsome, Enma was in truth a deity bearing a grave responsibility, using justice to guide humanity back toward righteousness. He was, in a sense, Buddhism's dark hero, both frightening and worthy of reverence. Izanami is one of the 7th-generation deities and is regarded as an ancestor of Japan's imperial line. Together with her husband Izanagi, she appeared during the creation of heaven and earth. Standing upon the floating bridge of heaven, they stirred the sea with a divine spear, forming the first island. They descended to this island, became husband and wife, and gave birth to more than 30 gods representing the land, stone, wind, sea, mountains, and even the sun. However, tragedy struck when Izanami gave birth to the sun god. She was burned so severely by the flames that she died. Overcome with grief, Izanagi killed their child, the fire god, in anger. Unable to accept his wife's death, he journeyed into the underworld to bring her back. At its gates, he pleaded with her to return. Izanami agreed but warned him never to look upon her body. Izanagi could not resist. He stole a glance and saw her form decayed and rotten. Feeling betrayed, Izanami erupted in fury, unleashing demons to pursue him. Terrified, Izanagi fled and blocked the exit with a massive boulder. From behind the stone, Izanami cried out that she would claim 2,000 lives each day. Izanagi countered that he would bring forth 2,500 new children daily. From that time, Izanami became the goddess of the underworld, a fearsome deity commanding legions of demons to punish those who opposed her. Indeed, the myth reminds us, when a woman's wrath is stirred, whether in legend or reality, it inspires fear in all who behold it. Tartarus is the god of the abyss in classical Greek mythology. Located at the very depths of the underworld's far north, Tartarus is at once a primordial deity, a prison, and a cosmic force born directly from chaos. After chaos came forth, the earth goddess Gaia was born, and she united with Tartarus. From their union emerged some of the most terrifying monsters in Greek mythology, such as Typhon and Echidna, creatures as menacing as the monstrous offspring of Loki in Norse myth. Tartarus itself was said to lie at the deepest point of the underworld, far beneath the earth, at a distance equal to that between earth and sky. Hesiod described it vividly. If one dropped a stone from the earth, it would take 9 days and 9 nights to reach the bottom of Tartarus, a depth beyond human imagination. This realm was shrouded in dense fog and oppressive gloom, so foreboding that even the gods feared it. Fierce winds blew without end, and a mortal who wandered in could walk for a year without ever reaching the center. Outside Tartarus stood sacred gates and divine walls, while its perimeter was encircled by unbreakable bronze ramparts forged by the Cyclopes, making it an impregnable prison. Those confined within Tartarus were often the souls of the wicked or beings who dared to defy the gods. Here Zeus imprisoned the defeated Titans, alongside the Cyclopes, the Hecaton Shares, Typhon, and other colossal monsters. If left unchained, they would unleash chaos upon the world. Even mortals could be cast down. The infamous King Tantalus, who murdered his son and offered the flesh to the gods, was sentenced to Tartarus. Tartarus was both a primordial deity and a bottomless chasm from which none could escape. Even the most powerful gods struggled to cross its threshold. Its might rivaled that of Zeus, making Tartarus the most dreadful prison in the entire cosmos. Ereshkigal, the goddess of the underworld, was the queen of the netherworld in Mesopotamian mythology. While in Fate Grand Order she is portrayed as a beautiful blonde maiden, in the original myths her image is far darker and more terrifying. Unlike Greek mythology, Mesopotamian lore did not begin with a clear creation story. Instead, from the primordial waters, Abzu and the goddess Namu, heaven and earth were formed, and in time the gods came into being. Amid this turmoil, the dragon Kur abducted Ereshkigal while she was still young. Though the god Enki fought fiercely to rescue her, Ereshkigal was ultimately forced to remain in the underworld, where she became its ruler. The realm Ereshkigal governed was bleak and merciless, a place of darkness and desolation, where clay and dust were the only food. Escape was impossible, and so she commanded her servants to spread plague and disease across the earth, drawing more souls into her domain. Legends even claim that Ereshkigal devoured the very souls of the dead, compelling humans to perform offerings or ritual substitutes to avoid her wrath. Born originally as a goddess of the heavens, she was condemned to reign over the shadows. Meanwhile, her sister Inanna was exalted as the great mother goddess, fueling Ereshkigal's growing jealousy. Trapped in a role she never chose, she became the fearsome and tragic queen of the underworld. Satan is one of the most infamous demons of hell in the Bible. In religion, Satan is regarded as the embodiment of the 7 deadly sins, ruler of demons, and the eternal adversary of both God and mankind. In Paradise Lost, he rebelled against God but was ultimately defeated and cast into hell. There, together with his fallen angels, he built pandemonium and continued plotting rebellion. Satan was also the tempter who deceived Eve into eating the forbidden fruit, leading to humanity's expulsion from the Garden of Eden. In Dante's Divine Comedy, Satan is imprisoned in the lowest circle of hell, Judeca, the realm reserved for traitors. His form is terrifying: 3 faces, 6 bat-like wings, and an icy breath. In his mouths he eternally devours the greatest traitors, such as Judas, Brutus, and Cassius. Yet Satan has never relinquished his hatred. He swore to oppose God alongside his fallen legions forever. However, according to the Book of Revelation, on Judgment Day, Satan will be defeated by Archangel Michael and the heavenly host. Justice prevails, but Satan endures as the eternal symbol of temptation, fear, and trials that humankind must face. Through this, we see that every god or demon who rules over the underworld embodies their own power, terror, and purpose. Hell in religion is not merely a place of punishment, but also a reminder of karma. Its rulers stand as both emblems of dread and as warnings to humanity. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. If you found this content engaging, please like, share, and subscribe to support us. Your support is the motivation that drives us to create even more exciting videos. Have a wonderful day, and see you in the next one.